It's a lot of nobodies out there, and nobody minds if nobody comes up missing, right? That don't bother nobody, does it?
Something unusual is unfolding around Katt Williams right now, and most people do not seem to recognize it. One person who appears to understand it better than nearly anyone else is Chris Rock. Recently, Chris Rock has been making subtle remarks, not through angry outbursts, interviews, or dramatic social media posts, but through carefully crafted comedy. Like many experienced comedians, he hides serious observations behind humor, delivering them with enough sarcasm that casual listeners dismiss them as simple jokes. But beneath the laughter, there appears to be something much deeper being communicated. When you compare Chris Rock's recent comments with everything that happened after Katt Williams' appearance on Club Shay Shay, a very different picture begins to emerge. After one of the most talked about interviews in entertainment, there was an unexpected silence. Katt Williams stepped away from the spotlight, and the energy surrounding him suddenly shifted. That quiet aftermath seems to reveal a much larger pattern, one that becomes difficult to ignore once you begin connecting the dots. This situation goes far beyond ordinary celebrity drama or public feuds. It points toward what many believe is a long-standing system within Hollywood, one that has allegedly operated for decades, whether intentionally or indirectly. Chris Rock's words seem to offer subtle clues about how that system functions behind the scenes. The turning point came when Katt Williams sat down with Shannon Sharpe and spoke more openly than most entertainers at his level ever dared to. Instead of speaking in vague hints, Williams directly mentioned names such as Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, Sean Combs, Tyler Perry, and Ludacris. He claimed that success in entertainment often depends on remaining silent about certain realities and following unwritten rules that exist behind closed doors. Williams argued that the entertainment industry is built heavily on illusion and performance. According to him, people who are skilled at creating fictional worlds also possess the power to shape public perception in ways audiences rarely notice. He suggested that careers can rise or collapse depending on the approval of a small group of influential individuals. More importantly, his comments implied that opportunities are often tied to loyalty, and that many entertainers understand this reality, even if they never openly discuss it. One of the most striking aspects of the interview was the confidence with which Williams spoke. He did not appear interested in softening his statements or protecting industry relationships. Instead, he presented himself as someone who had already accepted the consequences of speaking honestly. That attitude immediately captured public attention and turned the interview into a viral cultural moment. Almost immediately afterward, the reaction became intense. Media outlets resurfaced old controversies connected to Katt Williams, while critics labeled him unstable, bitter, jealous, or attention-seeking. Social media became flooded with defensive responses from entertainers and fans alike. Public relations teams also appeared to move quickly to contain the damage and redirect public conversation. Yet despite all the noise surrounding the interview, Williams himself became noticeably quiet. Rather than continuing the discussion through podcasts, interviews, or social media appearances, he stepped back almost entirely. That silence is what many people now connect to Chris Rock's long-standing observations about Hollywood and fame. Over the years, Rock has frequently discussed power structures within the entertainment industry, usually through comedy rather than direct confrontation. Instead of openly accusing people or making dramatic speeches, Chris Rock tends to bury criticism inside jokes. That strategy allows different audiences to interpret his words differently. Some listeners hear ordinary humor and move on. Others recognize deeper commentary about influence, control, and the treatment of performers within the entertainment system. Rock has often joked about how Hollywood rewards obedience while punishing unpredictability. He has hinted that certain entertainers are celebrated only when they fit comfortably within the industry's expectations. Once someone becomes difficult to manage or begins challenging the system publicly, the tone surrounding them can change very quickly. That is why some viewers believe Chris Rock understands exactly what happened after Katt Williams spoke out. While Rock has not directly defended Williams, many believe his recent material contains subtle references to the same pressures and unspoken rules Williams described during the interview. Whether those theories are completely accurate or not, one fact remains undeniable. Katt Williams' interview changed the conversation around Hollywood in a major way. It forced audiences to look beyond celebrity headlines and think more critically about how influence, reputation, and power operate behind the scenes. For some people, Williams sounded reckless. For others, he sounded fearless. But regardless of where opinions fall, his words clearly struck a nerve across the entertainment world. The silence that followed may ultimately be just as revealing as the interview itself.
No studios have ever said that. Look at my IMDb. It will show you.
Chris Rock's perspective carries weight because he has remained inside the entertainment industry for decades. Unlike some comedians who eventually walked away entirely, Rock stayed, adapted, and survived through both professional and personal scrutiny. Over the course of his career, he has repeatedly explored themes involving wealth, power, race, and the way Hollywood profits from talent, while limiting long-term ownership and influence for many entertainers. When you place Chris Rock's subtle warnings beside Katt Williams' direct accusations, they begin to sound like descriptions of the same environment told from two completely different angles. One uses coded humor, layered beneath sarcasm and performance. The other uses blunt confrontation with almost no filter at all. After Katt Williams appeared on Club Shay Shay, the entertainment industry reacted in a way that many people found revealing. Some defended him publicly, while others distanced themselves almost immediately. Then, not long afterward, Chris Rock returned to the stage during his stand-up tour and began delivering material that, when listened to carefully, sounded less like ordinary comedy and more like commentary from someone who had reached a point of complete honesty. That version of Chris Rock is the one many people are now paying attention to. Throughout his career, Rock has spoken openly about Hollywood's financial structure and the pressure it places on performers to conform. According to his perspective, success in entertainment is rarely determined by talent alone. Instead, it is heavily shaped by relationships, loyalty, and an unspoken agreement to follow rules that are never officially written down. In his observations, those at the top maintain their status not just through skill, but through alignment with the system supporting them. He has also pointed out that Black comedians, in particular, occupy a difficult position within that hierarchy. They are visible enough to generate enormous profit and respected enough to be showcased publicly, yet constantly monitored for any sign of stepping outside expected boundaries. That balance, according to Rock's commentary, creates a quiet but constant pressure to stay within assigned limits. Now compare that with what Katt Williams has publicly claimed. Williams described the entertainment industry as a world controlled by a relatively small group of powerful decision-makers. He spoke about tests within the business, implying that advancement often depends on meeting certain unspoken expectations. In his framing, the system rewards compliance and punishes resistance. Chris Rock has spent years describing a similar structure, but with one major difference. His message is wrapped in ambiguity. He hides criticism inside jokes and storytelling, allowing audiences to interpret his meaning however they choose. That protective layer of comedy gives him room to speak honestly without triggering direct confrontation. Katt Williams removed that layer entirely. Instead of speaking indirectly, he openly named individuals and challenged industry behavior head-on. That distinction matters because someone like Chris Rock, who understands how carefully messaging must be crafted to survive in Hollywood, would immediately recognize the risks attached to speaking so openly. If you spend enough time inside the entertainment world, patterns become impossible to ignore. People rise quickly, disappear suddenly, and experience dramatic shifts in public support almost overnight. Someone who has witnessed those cycles for decades would understand that openly challenging the system often comes with consequences. That idea sits at the center of what many believe Chris Rock has been hinting at through his recent material. A recurring pattern where individuals who challenge powerful structures too directly eventually become isolated, discredited, or reframed negatively in the public eye. Other comedians have pointed toward similar dynamics over the years. Dave Chappelle famously walked away from major opportunities at the height of his career. Comedians like TK Kirkland and others within stand-up circles have also discussed the pressures that come with industry access. Whether indirect or direct, these stories often point toward the same underlying idea. Advancement in entertainment sometimes comes attached to conditions that are never publicly explained. Critics and insiders alike often describe the pattern in a recognizable sequence. First comes access, a major opportunity, a lucrative deal, or entry into influential spaces. Then comes an unspoken evaluation of cooperation. Those who align with expectations move forward. Those who resist frequently find themselves pushed aside or marginalized. After that, the narrative stage begins. Reputations shift publicly, old mistakes are amplified, and personal history is revisited in ways that reshape how audiences perceive someone. This process becomes especially powerful when a public figure speaks out. Instead of focusing on the message itself, attention often shifts toward questioning the credibility of the messenger. Different comedians have described experiencing this dynamic in different ways. Dave Chappelle walked away from massive success before later rebuilding his career on his own terms. Katt Williams challenged the system openly, and then faced heightened scrutiny afterward. Observers interpret these events differently, but the recurring pattern continues to fuel discussion inside comedy and entertainment circles. What makes Chris Rock's perspective especially important is that he has remained inside the industry long enough to experience both protection and backlash firsthand. That gives him a dual understanding of how the system works when it supports someone, and how quickly that support can disappear when narratives change. Many people also point to the highly publicized incident between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars as another example of how public perception is shaped in Hollywood. The moment itself shocked audiences worldwide, but what followed became just as significant. There was hesitation, carefully managed messaging, and eventually a settled public narrative that dominated media coverage. To many observers, the situation demonstrated how quickly stories can be shaped and controlled within highly visible environments. When Chris Rock later returned to the stage, his material carried more than just jokes about the incident. His performance reflected larger themes involving power, protection, accountability, and the selective way consequences are applied depending on who is involved. His commentary suggested a system where people witness events, remain silent, and later release carefully controlled responses once the acceptable narrative has been established. From that perspective, the entertainment machine itself becomes central. It influences who receives protection, who becomes a target, and who is sacrificed depending on what benefits the larger narrative. Chris Rock appears to understand that system deeply because he has spent decades surviving inside it. His method has been to speak in coded language through comedy. Katt Williams chose a completely different approach. He spoke directly, named names, and then stepped back into silence. That silence can be interpreted in multiple ways. Some view it as a strategic retreat after delivering his message. Others believe it reflects pressure from a system that responds quietly, but powerfully when exposed publicly. Either way, comedians like Chris Rock would likely recognize the pattern immediately. The same idea appears in Dave Chappelle's story as well. He walked away, rebuilt his career independently, and eventually returned with carefully balanced honesty wrapped inside performance. In many ways, comedy has become one of the few remaining spaces where uncomfortable truths can still be expressed publicly, as long as they are hidden beneath humor. But even that space appears increasingly fragile. When comedians speak too directly, narratives often form quickly around them. Labels such as crazy, bitter, or unstable begin to overshadow the actual message being delivered. Attention shifts away from the criticism itself and toward discrediting the person making it. That raises the larger question sitting underneath all of these conversations. Why do those who speak most openly about power structures often face the strongest backlash afterward? And what does it cost to survive inside an industry that seems to reward silence more consistently than honesty? In the end, this conversation is about far more than individual celebrities or entertainment gossip. It reflects a broader discussion about power, perception, influence, and control inside one of the world's most powerful industries. The deeper message hidden within all of this may simply be that truth is often spoken openly, but that does not always mean people are willing to accept it.